My name is Grand Teton, and this is the Amateur to Pro video series that I'm calling the Pro Pursuit, where I'll take you with me as I journey from an everyday amateur photographer to striving and becoming a professional wildlife photographer. I'll take you through the challenges and those crazy learning moments to help shape the craft of wildlife photography. So let's go find some animals together. One of the things that I'm learning as I try to move from amateur to pro is you have to be very intentional with everything when it comes to wildlife photography, whether it's the time of day you're shooting, how you find your animals, or the gear you use. No more just getting out and hoping that you get the shot. So let's start with finding animals. Now, a lot of hunters will scout out areas week before the hunt to observe animals traveling and their behavior. What trails are they taking? Where are they bedding down? And when do they go for water? As a wildlife photographer, you must do something similar. Now, an amateur would typically hop in their car and start driving around in the mountains, hoping to run across some animals, thinking maybe a grizzly bear or maybe a snowy owl will cross my way and I'll get the shot. Now, sometimes I do this because I like to be surprised on what I find on those drives, but this time in the Grand Tetons, I'm going to be much more intentional. Now, there are specific apps out there that will help you track down wildlife, starting with the Park Wolf app. This app works off a GPS, so no Wi-Fi is needed, but it tells you where the hotspots are and where the most recent sightings of wildlife are, helping you improve your chance to capturing the shot. Another app is called the eBird app. I like this one because it tells you where the most recent rare bird sightings are, so if a snowy owl came into Utah, I would know about it. You can also check out the ranger station or the visitor center and ask about some most recent sightings and/or hotspots. On this particular trip, I was looking for the bull elk and the bull moose. When I was here in July, I didn't find any elk or moose. Such an amateur. But this time, I was able to track them down using the Park Wolf app and some other Facebook groups and some other contacts that I had. Another way to be intentional is by immersing yourself in their environment, using a hide or some sort of camouflage. Nothing like that guy who scares off the wildlife because he's such an amateur. I'll sometimes place a tent hide in a spot, knowing where animals will visit, and then I sit and wait. If I don't want the animals to know that I'm coming, in particular waterfowl, then I jump into the floating hide where I approach it that way. Regardless, sometimes you need to hide yourself so you don't scare off the animals. I know it sounds crazy, but this is just another way to be intentional to get the shot. Next, intentionally plan for the best light during the best time of day. This may sometimes mean getting up at 4 a.m. just to get the shot. Get up, get your hot cocoa or your coffee, snarf down a muffin, and go find your location and then set up for the shot. For example, I love the early morning shots as the fog is lifting off the water, or the evening shots where the sun is setting. These are typically called golden or blue hour. Golden hour is shortly after sunrise and shortly before sunset, whereas blue hour is the opposite, shortly before sunrise and shortly after sunset. Then you have overcast hour for even lighting. No harsh shadows, so no hard sunlight. So no more rolling out of bed around 9 a.m. hoping to get the best light. Next, be intentional with your gear. For example, on some of my recent trips to the Grand Tetons, I realized I had several pieces of gear that were hindering my pursuit to pro. I remember fumbling around with an ND filter. My tripod wasn't stable enough and it kept shaking the camera. Now, my mom used to always tell me, you never fail at anything unless you failed to learn. And I learned a lot on those trips. And this time, I'm much more intentional and I've improved the gear I have with me. For example, I never again want to miss the shot because I'm relying on autofocus. If a weed or a twig or another bear's butt gets in the way of your subject, which happens a lot in wildlife, especially bird photography, your autofocus will struggle. There are moments in wildlife photography where you need to switch to manual focus and just do it that way. That's why I set up my camera with this Tilta Pocket Focus. That way I can easily use my left hand to adjust and fine-tune the focus wheel. No more trying to manually focus this way where there's too much camera movement and it's just uncomfortable. Now, the pocket focus is especially good for situations where the animals or the birds are on the move. Simply turn the wheel away from you to increase the focus distance if the animal is moving away from you, and turn it towards you to reduce the focus distance if the subject is moving towards you. Be sure to turn on your focus peaking on your camera so that you can visually see when your subject is also in focus. Also, set up your camera with back button focus to give you more control. If you don't know how to do that, there are some videos out there that always take the control away from your shutter button and move it to the back for your thumb so that you can get quicker focus. Now, I must say, some situations you don't want to install all this extra gear on your camera. Sometimes you want to keep things lightweight, especially if you're on the move. So this kind of camera rig is not for every situation, but mostly when you're shooting video at a stationary location where you're not going far on foot. Now, there are good reasons why you should build out your camera with all this extra gear. Another example is being able to clearly see your subject in focus using an external monitor. And whether you build out your camera or not, you're still going to need a good, solid, easy to use, easy to adjust tripod. I'll include in the description my recommendation for what I think is the best tripod on the market and why. By the way, it's not Manfrotto, Benro, or Satchler. But again, be intentional with your gear and why you need specific equipment. If you don't build out your camera, perhaps at least consider buying a good tripod and a good fluid head or a gimbal head. This will help you with your pursuit to pro. Now, to wrap things up, immerse yourself in the wildlife environment, shoot during the best daylight or the golden hours, and improve your gear to help you get the shot. Now, I hope this helps you become more intentional with your approach to wildlife photography. Now go find some animals.